Hey, you guys. So I'm here. I saw Sinners. It was a good movie. It was a great movie. And maybe I shouldn't start it off with my personal opinion. This is going to be a long video, okay? Get comfortable. This is going to be a long video. So I'm just going to give my perspective, more of a occult perspective on Sinners. I saw it today. So I want to give that breakdown. I want to just talk about it. I love occult studies. I love occultism. I like to think of myself as a whatever level occultist. I have a good understanding, right? But I think I'm a little young to call myself an adept. But either way, let's get to it. Let's talk about it. So if you're not understanding having a good background on occult studies, what the studies of the occult is, take a moment and try to get there. But let's see, okay, so occult studies, right? It dives deep into the mind. Everything is mental. Ideally, occult studies really is intended to open up your mind, expand your thought process. It's very symbolic. It is symbolic. Everything is symbolic. It's mentalism, psychology, and it's just simply hidden knowledge. And when you say hidden, it's not spooky. It's all of those things I just explained: symbolism, psychology, mentalism. Those are things that are not pushed to the forefront, right? It's more internal. So in turn, that would be looked at as hidden. So when I say I'm taking that viewpoint on this movie, that's the eyes that I watch film through. Because once you learn this perspective, you kind of really can't turn it off. Symbolism is so loud. So let's get into it. So first, you can go back to the universal laws and refresh yourself, but everything just turns out to be like yin and yang, good and bad, and being on a spectrum, right? So you already see that by the concept of there being twin brothers. Twin brothers, you have the two opposite sides, the two good and the bad, the yin and the yang, the left and right brain, and how that is manifesting throughout the entire film. So I really can wrap it up by truly just saying this movie does a great job in showing balance on the extreme ends, the good, the bad, and the spectrum in that good and bad reside on, right? And then how they come together and find that balance. That's the movie. I mean, and really, that's a lot of movies, depending on what message they're trying to get out and what thoughts they're trying to provoke in the viewer's mind. I mean, there's so many levels. But let's get right into my details, my notes I have. So you got blue and red twins. I mean, blue aesthetic, red aesthetic for the two twins, right? Um, and again, this is just a depiction of those two polar opposites. So you got Stack giving more of the twins are passionate, period, right? But you got Stack who gives more flashy, more external. He's the hothead. He's the red aesthetic. He's giving you the gold in the teeth. It's giving you more external and forceful, cutthroat type of person. Quick-witted, manipulative, more externally manipulative. He entices other characters to join the juke joint by his more persuasive ways, dangling money to entice them. Where then you have Smoke, who is on the other end of all those characteristics, where he's more to a degree of being reserved, still giving you boss energy, still giving you cutthroat, but it's just a dialed back, more internal display of that. And you see his way of being that polar opposite. I like to think of when he negotiated the, mind you, if you haven't seen the movie, these are going to be spoilers. I'm not going to go into play-by-play detail, but then at some points I kind of am. So if you're one of those people that cannot watch a movie because somebody else talked about it, sorry. So anyways, when he decides to negotiate how much he's going to pay that girl, or even just tell her, let's negotiate. Let me teach you how to negotiate what you're about to get paid. Don't just accept it. That shows you more of his character right then and there. Whereas, what's his name? Stack, when he was trying to go and get the old blues player to join the juke joint, he's dangling beer. I'm about to give you this money. I bet you can't match this. Like you can't get $20, $40 a night. Like it's it's persuasive, but it's a little more dishonest. It's just another level of degree of the spectrum, right? You see where I'm going? So we still are showing you, I'm not in the movie. They are still showing you the degrees of these two opposite energies. So again, it's like we're still talking about how the degrees of let me see. And then again, I can see other people showing a description of the brothers being one is the good one and one is the bad one. You got the bad as red, forceful, blue as calm and reserved. But again, we're still just talking about a degree of separation. It's very slight. Excuse me. Because I made so many notes. But really, Coogler does such a good job of displaying the balance. So then we kind of get more into the spiritual side when we're breaking down elements of like black culture and the voodoo and the vampires and how they ward off the vampires and different spirits and those energies. And we're still thinking about negative and positive, two polar opposites. Them being in the house, being in the juke joint, and not being able to, the vampires being able to come in unless they are invited in, you can also still think about this being symbolic of degrees of separation, like, you know, just basically on a frequency. To welcome in a new frequency, that existing point has to slowly alter. You follow me? So it's like verbally it manifests for us to invite something in. And this is a good way for spiritual people to slowly open their mind more to an occult viewpoint, which to me puts you in, and it's not even to me, it puts you into a more holistic view instead of being almost superstitious, because spirituality can push a person too far down the spectrum, and now you're just being super superstitious. You really want to maintain at a balanced viewpoint, right? So okay, so yes, it just keeps you on a balanced point. So let me get in the flow so I can just run it off. And I'm trying to go through my notes a little bit too much, and it's throwing me off. So, because really, again, we're talking about the balance. We see that through the depiction of the twins, the colors that Coogler chooses, which is really basic, blue and red. Those are the two polar sides, right? Then you see also with Sammy and him coming from a Christian background, that polar opposite of belief systems, of him going down to the juke joint and then him coming from a very strict religious upbringing that puts him in a point where he's deciding to be far left or far right or directly in the middle. And truthfully, Sammy's character, I mean, he is one of the main characters, but you can really focus too much on the twins when really Sammy is that dividing force, that leading force that's showing you the balance, because he rides that energy all the way up until the end where he has the fight with the vampire at the end. And that scene is really the scene that breaks all of this down to what I'm talking about. Of you got this energy of these vicious vampires who are the earthlings, those who are stuck in this reincarnation cycle, who are going back and forth to get other slaves to continue to be locked in this reincarnation cycle of back and forth, never finding the balance, right? Truthfully, this is all Sammy's story. Sammy is the main character because they were coming for him specifically to shift his mind, because he had the power of the music, right? He had the power to entice, but it's all symbolic of embodying an energy. It's all symbolic. Because let me go back to the fight that they had. We understand. Y'all see that? We understand that Sammy's energy needs to be pushed. So Sammy's energy is being pushed back and forth the entire film. He's being forced to make a decision. Is he gonna stay at home, follow his dreams? He gets out with the brothers, music. He has the entire film, even though this shit is only happening in one goddamn day. That's what really be blowing me about stuff. It's like, shit be one day, it be one event. Anyways, so the entire film is him deciding where he's gonna go. And so the spiritual side and the occult side, you can really see this is still a battle of where you gonna be. Are you gonna ride the middle point? Or are you gonna be to the left or to the right? So when they finally catch Sammy, that one king vampire who was infecting everybody, once he gets Sammy in the water and they're battling it out and he's getting the best of him, and then finally he hits him in the head with the shit and it cracks his head, and the decision is made. He's not riding with the more evil side, quote unquote, the bad side. Now the sun is coming up. He's in the water. The vampire is bursting into into flames, into then ashes. So the decision is being made. That extreme left side or right side is not where Sammy is going. So that energy is dying off. The sun rises, and that's another symbol of balance being restored, because they were fighting throughout the night, right? So we're seeing this play of polar opposites, of yin and yang, the entire film. They're fighting through the night. You have this energy that can only survive at night. So finally sunrise is here. He fights off that energy. He's free. They're landlocked into a certain realm of existence because they decided to exist on the extreme side instead of having free will by being in balance. Okay? So when I watched that scene, I was like, yes, that is such an impactful scene of how freedom is given to those who decide to ride the middle point. If you sway too hard to the left or sway too hard to the right, it skews your mind. It doesn't allow you to have freedom. You really lack control because your viewpoint is so manipulated or fixed that you don't have the fluidity to just go in and out, up and down the spectrum of what suits the decisions of life. And I hope y'all are able to follow me. It's good to stay in the middle point. That's the message. That's what they're trying to tell y'all. They're trying to tell y'all, stay in the middle point. So I just loved seeing that scene. I mean, they were in the water. They were in the water with the damn flames, giving you more polarity again and again and again and again. They're hitting you with it again and again. And I totally forgot, all the while he was fighting with that damn vampire in the water, you got Stacks and Smoke fighting each other inside the juke joint. So again, you're seeing a battle of the two sides to then figure out which one is going to survive, when really the two forces need to join. That's what nature is. Seeing two polar sides, realizing that they are the same. Like and unlike are the same. So you're seeing that those two battles happening excuse me, at the same time to give you more of an understanding that you need to be in balance. So he couldn't kill his brother. He was possessed by being a vampire at that point. Stax was, but Smoke didn't decide to kill him. But he had to vanish him to, never come back. And plus, he could never see him again because he was possessed and he can only exist at nightfall. So you're seeing his decision. I mean, it wasn't really his decision. It was his decision because he was messing with that white girl. But anyways, it was his decision to be on that extreme side, and that locked him into a perspective. And you can see this all as a viewpoint of a perspective. Them existing only at night is a realm in itself. Okay, let's go back. I mean, that's really it. Those were really the key points that really, I mean, there's little details where they're continuously showing you, but that's the story of filmmaking in life. Like, you're constantly having a good and a bad and a battle to win, right? But with occult studies, everything is symbolic. Everything is mental. So it was really enjoyable to see how I can't even say that it's there unknowingly putting out that information, because I strongly do believe once you get to a high level of filmmaking and writing and just art period, you understand the cult. Like, I think that's just, you understand the universal secrets, and it's no longer a secret, it's just how you function with your art. So I just think it was a great way to share the message of polarity and getting back to the middle point. So they're talking about, the more spiritual side of reincarnation. People like to believe that if you don't learn your lessons and karma, then you'll keep coming back and coming back. But again, I like to think, going back to symbology, mentalism, that everything is mental, right? So once you decide that you are in charge, once you decide that you will ride the middle point, you will take what information works best for you given said circumstance, not being fixed on one side or the other, then you have free range to come in and out. And if you don't want to reincarnate, you don't have to, because they kept saying that throughout the movie, that you are locked inside of a body, coming back and back and back, and they got to kill them off one by one. The vampires are snatching people's bodies and suppressing their souls, and the soul has no freedom, right? But it's really just a degree of the perspective being too far to one point instead of in balance. Balance gives you control. Balance gives you control. So for the most part, that's that on the occult perspective, right? But then there was just some pointers I wanted to say. Like, I really enjoyed this movie. Another point, when they were dancing in the juke joint and they had that scene that was so powerful, just showing like the different time periods and how at one point we was dancing in a juke joint and it looked like this at this time period, and it all correlates to the timestamps of the same thing existing at once, all things being the same thing at once, but different degrees. It's degrees of separation. So, that was such impactful. That was amazing. I loved that scene because one, it was such a culturally intense scene to see. Even the Asian background, the Indian, the black culture, African culture, Yoruba, Ifa, all of the things, the hip hop, all intertwining at once is another great reminder, friends. All things are happening at once. It's just a degree of separation. Everything is just on a spectrum. Everything is just a slight tilt of perspective, but it's all one existing, right? So as they were dancing in one space, that breakdown through the time periods really was just a slight turn of your viewpoint. I hope I'm making sense. It was a great movie. I truly enjoyed it. I know there's more people on here breaking down so many different points, but from a cult standpoint, Chef's Kiss, the people needed this. I hope no one gets too fixated. I hope no one that really wants to learn and free their mind gets too fixated on the spiritual elements, the superstitious elements of the movie. Take it for surface. Don't sit up here and be thinking all white people is vampires. Don't be sitting up here thinking that if you have a love for music, you gotta sell your soul to the damn devil. That's what the movie is trying to show you, that everything is mental and you need to get back in balance to free your mind. Because when you stay in those spaces, those realms of thought, it locks you, okay? It locks you into one viewpoint. That's what I'm saying. So, free your mind. Think about the bigger picture. All of those elements are true to a degree, and whatever you believe is true. So the idea is to just give people more of a chance to open up their mind. So don't get stuck on the extra shit. So anyways, I'd like to also say that it being in IMAX, I can appreciate that. I loved. So yes, this part of it is just appreciation to things that, as a lover of film, I really appreciated seeing. I appreciated seeing it in IMAX. Panorama view really gives you an immersive viewpoint. I feel like I was in the movie. I feel like I was there. So when you sit and you watch a film, this can be good or bad, you know. That's why it's good to have an open mind, because what we choose to view with our eyes, if you get too sucked in it, you can believe that it is your own story. But luckily, I think even just seeing Black people being victorious at the end probably still does some good. So anyways, being fully immersed in that IMAX theater, big screen, giving you more of a panoramic view where you're like really in it and your peripheral view is still the theater screen, really puts you in there. There was times where I truly had chills because I'm like, I'm in this bitch. I am there with them. I was fully immersed in this movie, and it really was a good movie. I appreciated how when I forgot his name, the blues player, when he was reminiscing about his past, and you can hear the audio playing of what he's describing. Top tier. I don't think I can't recall at this time like another film that had that detail. That was great. Like, to hear someone describe something that they are recalling from the past and we get to hear the audio of it. That was a great detail. I loved that. What else did I put on here? Oh, I mean, and even just like another point of like being able to have the depiction of like who these characters are and how they are extreme opposites. Oh, and of course, let me get back to that too. Seeing the women that they chose. I mean, you got Smoke. Smoke was with the voodoo lady, given Black Goddess, Black Alchemist Witch, big busty stature, real Black woman hair, like everything about that aesthetic and who he is versus Stack's woman being a biracial woman who was the polar opposite of Smoke's woman. So again, I appreciated those two different types of women being shown. And even shout out, I mean, and especially a shout out to Michael B. Jordan. I never thought about him as much as I never thought about him being this high level of an actor until this film. This really is top tier acting because we can see how technical it is to play two characters who are totally opposite of each other, right? And personify and embody those characters so well. Okay, my bad. I had to get myself together. I was talking about giving Michael B. Jordan his props on how well he was playing this character. Both characters, how technical that was, how I wasn't trying to discredit like him as an actor before, but I can say even like Fruitvale Station and Black Panther and Creed. I have to now go back and look at Ryan Coogler's work, with a different lens, because I'm like finding my passion for film again. So, although I've been studying occultism, occult science for fucking years, I think I was fucking born this way. I don't know that I always was looking at any of his films through this lens and realizing how Michael B. Jordan does a good job of embodying these characters. Like, this is real life mediumship. This is real. I'm not a rapper, I'm a medium. What Kendrick say? I don't know. But that man is being a vessel. And you can see it. And I'm not even really trying to gas it too much, but I really appreciated watching how well he was embodying these two separate characters and doing it so well. I mean, they are showing you again the degrees of separation are still the same. Even by one man playing two different people, again, reiterates the spectrum is still on the same damn stick. It's still a degree of temperature. It's the same thing existing, but just different degrees. So you have one man playing twins, two polar opposites. The end goal is to find balance. You see that by one man playing two motherfuckers. Genius. I mean, so it's so many layers. And then it's really not at the same time. It's so simple. So that's what I enjoy about the occult. Everything is hidden, but it's layered and it's deep. It's psychology, it's mentalism, it's I said symbols. Studying patterns and all these things. But it all circles back to being the same shit. We all talking about universal law, yin and yang, good and bad. But being one and being in balance. So I loved that. I loved Sinners. I would watch it again. I didn't mind paying that extra for the IMAX. What am I saying? It's late, man. I didn't mind paying that shit. It was a good movie. Panoramic view. This really put me back in the bag. And I meant to say this. Watching this really allowed me to see that I'm on the right frequency. Because if y'all can read, if y'all knew what I'm writing right now, it runs so close. It's damn near. I mean, it's different. There's a whole different play, whole different plot. But I think, I mean, when you start simplifying things, stuff starts getting to be the same point. But what I'm writing is so similar. And I didn't, like, that's the thing. I didn't see any damn trailers for this. Like, my social media is curated so intense to see specific shit that I only saw the Breakfast Club interview. And I think he was on Hot 97. And I watched those two podcasts or YouTube channels. So if I didn't watch that, I would have no idea this movie was out. I'm not saying they didn't do a good job marketing. I'm just saying I had no way of, like, somehow having this story intermixed with my own story that I'm writing. just on my own free will. So yeah, I guess, I mean, that's it. That kind of wraps it up. This is all I really needed to say. I guess if anyone cares, I have been a creative writer pretty much my entire life. High school, I used to take film criticism classes. I was always in some type of creative writing or film class. In college, I have a degree in mass communications. I studied film criticism there, wrote screenplays, studied screenplays, learned about symbolism and studying imagery and how to break down and decode in college. So truthfully, all of this was preparing me to have a very holistic viewpoint. So right now, this is a great time for this to have come out because I'm totally in the energy of like writing more, storytelling, understanding cinematic language, having just a greater appreciation for storytelling, period, in that art form, and then translating it to film, screen. So I really appreciate Sinners coming out, depicting the Black culture, allowing Black people to get this message of freeing themselves, being back in balance, and taking their power back if you're just on the spiritual side. And it was just a good movie, period. And I'm glad to have be a lover of the arts, man, and creative thinking and creative thought. This salad is fire. So this YouTube, I'm probably gonna put this on YouTube and my TikTok. For those of you that don't know, this is my intro. I'm your decode film writer, screenwriter, story writer, occultist girly. And I can't wait to break down more stories, more film, more screenplays. And hopefully people will get in the comments and we'll talk about this more. And we'll keep this going. So, shout out to y'all. We back on the arts. We back on the creative thinking, creative writing. Eat you a salad. Good for your mind and body. Read you a book. Write you a book. Tell you a story. Do a little song. Do a little dance. So anyways, this was fun. How exciting it would be just to get paid to write creative stories and get all my ideas out. What a wonderful life that would be. And I can say, seeing Ryan's interview, that put the interview he did on the Breakfast Club, that put the spark back in me. I'm like, oh, the way he intellectualized everything and broke it down and gave more of a background of how his mind was putting together why the thought of this film even came together for him, that was great. I loved that because that reminded me of myself. As cocky as that might, or conceited, I don't know. However that may have sounded, it's the truth. Watching him reminded me of my own skill set, and I felt very similar. It resonated with me of how I too love to people watch and how my experiences growing up on the West Coast, being in Black culture, having a sense of spirituality and universal understanding, and now getting to this point and seeing things through a certain lens really allows you to have a very creative viewpoint. And people do appreciate seeing that. Like, people appreciate your perspective. It's so creative. And diving into someone's mind and how they might portray, and even like the little comedic timing and the views and like things that were thrown into the movie. I know he had other writers, or like him and his wife. More people had input. It wasn't just solely one man. But just seeing how that translated on film, it's like stepping into somebody's world and their universe and their mind, and that shit, I like that. So that sparked the creative spark back into me to get cranking out these books, crank out these screenplays, create the content, do all the things. So shout out to Ryan Coogler and the whole team for putting together another great movie. Toodaloo.